Hey, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I am so fine. Oh, can you believe it? The book is almost here.
I cannot believe it.
It's been a labor of love. It's been a
Yes, it
labor of
has.
love. And, you know, as I think about this book coming out, so happy with the title, Diversity Playbook. And we
Uh-huh.
were really intentional about creating it as a playbook, as a guide for, Christian organizations, Christian individuals, and Christian leaders, mostly because of our background with Christian
Absolutely.
organizations. And so as you think about this book coming out, what are you hoping that people will
Yeah.
walk away with?
Yeah. Such a great question. The Diversity Playbook really provides this unique opportunity for individuals and organizations to gain a sneak peek into the world of the other. In our experiences, one of the main reasons why diversity efforts fail is because not everyone is reading the same playbook.
Right.
So the book is broken up into these three parts, and each of these parts is geared towards a different audience: the diversity professional, the outlier, ally, and co conspirator, and the organization. And each audience has a distinct part to play in the success of diversity efforts within your organization. So we believe that this approach ensures that everyone has the same playbook and that there is a common language and greater accountability, thus leading to personal and organizational transformation.
And Michelle, I think that's something that is so unique about this book. That's something we had not seen, that this book has these three parts.
Mm-hmm.
It's taking into consideration the person who is trying to lead this effort in
Mm-hmm.
their organization. It's taking into consideration the person who's trying to help the person who's leading this effort. And it
Right?
takes into consideration the organization itself, right? So
Yes.
it's kind of this book that if you and I were having a conversation and with someone who is just getting started, or with
Mm-hmm.
an organization, we have worked with different organizations, and we're kind of the big sister that's stepping into the group and saying, hey, let let me help you understand something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I appreciate about this book, is that we do have these three different audiences, these three different parts to the book, but it really is so that everyone can be on the same page, everyone can have the same
Yes.
language, and everyone can understand what's going on, and how the organization might be thinking about this, and
Yeah.
how someone who wants to help in this effort, but they're not tasked with leading change efforts. But what can they do, and what are some of the pitfalls that they should watch out for in lending a helping hand?
Right, right. And with that
Yeah.
being said, Michelle, what else do you envision people walking away with? What's the takeaway, the big takeaway from our
Yeah,
book?
and I think something else that's so important about our book is that we're really centering this for Christian audiences. It's not a
Yes.
secular book that we're trying to place within a Christian context. And it's not a Christian book that's just saying, hey, we just love God, and so everything should work out just fine. No, this is
Mm-hmm.
saying that diversity matters to God. And therefore,
Yes.
it should matter to us. And that
Yes.
all of us have been given the ministry of reconciliation, and that is reconciliation, that creation, excuse me, and that is reconciling. I'm getting ahead of myself. That is reconciling creation back to God and
Mm-hmm.
to one another. And that is
Yes.
so important. Now, we've
Mm-hmm.
all been given this ministry, and God has committed it to us, but it is from Him. It's not just
Yes.
us. It's not just us raising a flag and saying we need to do this. This is really out of a response to what God has called us to do. And I think
Yes.
that for me, that's the biggest takeaway from this book, is understanding that this is God work. This is work of the heart. So
Mm-hmm.
diversity professionals are in the transformational business.
Mm-hmm.
Outliers, allies, co conspirators are in the transformation business. Christian organizations are in the transformation business. We are called to assist in changing hearts and broadening minds, and we are called to help people think and love like Jesus. Systems don't change without transformation. We know
That's
that.
right.
We've seen that.
That's right.
Jesus came in and upended an entire system with his message
Hmm.
of love and redemption. And we're called to do the same. So, the biggest
Absolutely.
takeaway that I want our audiences to know, to walk away with, is that this is work that has been given us to by God. We
Hmm.
are all called to do this transformational work. And this book will help us to do that work a little bit better.
Yes. I love it. I love it. I love
Well,
it.
this reminds me when we were writing this book, right? We would get so excited when we were
Yes.
putting all these thoughts into place. So, as you're thinking about this, and as I think about when we were writing, and our hopes and our
Hmm.
expectations
Hmm.
about, other people learning from what we have experienced, and how we would be able to reach more people, because there's only two of us, but how
Right.
we could reach more people. We were talking about experiences that, excited us, or that made us feel
Hmm.
like this work was worth it. What's one of those
Yes.
gratifying experiences that come to mind when you think about doing this work?
Well, thank you for asking that. For me, it's one of those aha moments when you can look back at an institution and see some of the policies and practices that were birthed out of you and out of your pain and out of your hardship. See that outlive you. I'm no longer with this organization, but they're still doing some of the things and the practices that I implemented, and it's transforming that culture. The culture has transformed because of some of these practices. One example I'll give you is a Mosaic Award. It's just an opportunity to celebrate that diversity champion on campus. And we started in 2012, and I just got a little notice for 2021 and the person who they're considering. And I'm like, oh, this is so wonderful because it's just an opportunity to celebrate champions and change makers on campus. So
Oh,
that's one of the things that's just really gratifying to me. What about you?
yes. So I'm glad you asked that question. And, so one of the most gratifying experiences that I've had is something similar to what you said, is when you can sit back and you can see the fruits of your labor
Mhm.
manifesting in front of yourself, right? So for me, it would be sitting in a meeting, and there's a presentation going on, and someone other than me has raised their hand to say, you know what, but what about the diversity lens?
Mhm.
You have this, all these slide decks, you made this great presentation, but everybody in that slide deck was white.
Right.
And it wasn't me that called it out. It
Right.
was not me that called it out. That was one of the most gratifying moments. And another one that I think about is there was the a group that people don't often think about on
Mhm.
campus would be the people who are cleaning the buildings, the maintenance
Mhm.
staff, right?
Mhm.
But there was someone on our maintenance staff that reached out to me and asked me if I would lead a book group with them
Mm.
on a diversity topic, because they saw I
Okay.
was leading a book group for faculty, but they weren't able to attend because of the timing. And so they asked if I would be willing to lead a book with group with them. And I said yes before I realized it was 7:30 in the morning.
Oh
But
no.
but it was so good, and they came with real questions. And I told them that they were some of my most favorite people to have a book group with, because they weren't trying to impress me. If
Uh-huh.
they thought something, they pushed back on some
Mhm.
conversations and some topics, but they also learned the most, and they received the most, and they affirmed the most about how the
Yes.
importance of this work. So that's been one of the most gratifying. Those are some of the most gratifying experiences that I've had in doing this work. And
That's
I think
great.
that's what we're hoping that this diversity playbook will
Mhm.
do for Christian organizations, Christian leaders, and Christian individuals, that they too will be able to have some gratifying experiences. You and I have been doing this work for well over 30 years, combined and
Mhm.
uncombined.
Mhm. Mhm.
We've been doing, and we've learned some lessons along the way. Some of those
Yes.
lessons we want to pass on so that people can
Absolutely.
can learn and grow and expand upon them. And then some of the lessons we hope that people will avoid, because
Absolutely.
because we've shared our stories. And that's what we hope with the diversity playbook.
Yes,
Yeah.
out fall 2021. We
All right
can't
now.
wait to have these conversations with you all.
Yes. Thank you.